I'm Travis Brown, founder and CEO of Mojo Up Marketing and Media. And this is my podcast, where I talk to the most successful Black and brown business executives who've broken through the barriers of today's business culture. Welcome to the Mojo Up Live Diverse and Talented Podcast. I'm your host, Travis Brown, and today I have a special guest, true trailblazer in the midst today, Evelyn Magley. She is the CEO of the Basketball League, and I'm so excited to talk about this story because she is the first Black woman to own an actual professional league. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now I got to start by this dope basketball because I'm a basketball guy, and so seeing your name embroidered on this ball is just something special. It's pretty cool. So talk to me about how did all of this league come about to start and run a professional basketball league?
Well, actually, it came from a place of pain. I was going through some difficulties, my husband and myself, in our lives, just in general. There were things that were happening I felt like it was out of control. And so I went to the restroom. I had to have some quiet time for myself and had a conversation with God about what was going on and what did He have for my life and for my husband, because it just seemed like a domino effect, like everything was falling apart. And my husband had lost his brother, had died unexpectedly, and it's a lot of grief and pain that was going on, and some things were just within our own family. And so there on the floor, I was just crying out to God and asking Him, what was going on. And he asked me, why are you crying, and if I trust Him. And then He gave me the vision to start my own league, and that's how it started. And I jumped up, ran out of the restroom, told my husband, I had a word, God spoke to me, He told me, it's, for some people it may seem a little far-fetched, but It's real. And he's like, he woke up and he had this thing on. I'm like, David, God spoke to me. He spoke to me. He showed me to start my own basketball league. And he's like, can we talk about this tomorrow? I'm like, no. And it was just like, I would say it's like a download of information that just flowed. And we sat up until about 5 a.m. just writing everything out, how it would be a league that's based on the love of God, that we would see the young men as being people and not just athletes, and that we would use it to be able to spread love to community. And that next day, I went and I got incorporated, opened my little bank account, and took off, haven't looked back.
So for people that are listening to this, I want to go back and just repeat what she just said. She started a professional basketball league. And to put that in perspective, like, you guys have how many teams?
49.
49 teams, bigger than the G League, bigger than the NBA, bigger than the W. And so, like, we're talking about a real professional basketball league that is touching all across the country. And so, to me, when I heard this, and I saw, actually, the way I found out is I knew about it because I'd seen your husband posting different things. Actually, I reached out to him a long time ago. And then I saw your daughter make a post for Black History Month and saying, like the first Black woman to own her own professional sports league. And like, not a team, right, but a league. And then she said, it's so precious and heartfelt. I thought, she's like, and she's my mom. And so her and I were supposed to connect and actually meet. And I just started reading and I started researching you, checking it out. And I just have been enamored by the story, and I just wanted to sit down because, on this show, it's really about making sure people understand that there is a lot of Black and brown talent that's out there doing amazing things that people often have never heard of. And I think your story, for some people, kind of fits in that box. So you had this idea. You go to bank account. I'm incorporated, and then what?
And then we started. I acquired 8 teams from a previous league that my husband had been involved in. And
is this the Canada League?
It was the NAPB.
Okay.
And so from there, we started with those 8 teams, and we grew from 8 to 10 to 12. And then in the middle of the pandemic, we tripled in size to 29. And then this last season, we have 44, and now 2023, we have 49 teams.
49 teams.
Yes, 49 teams.
And so, talk to me about. I want to go and ask you from your perspective. Are you a basketball person, a business person, a people person, or yes, right? Because CEOs of companies. Some people are like, well, what does that person know about UPS logistics? No, they're just a great people person. They understand business. And so I've always subscribed to, a CEO can not necessarily know about a topic or something and go into an environment if they're a good leader and lead people. And so when I read your story, I thought, I wonder if she's a basketball person because she loves basketball. I wonder if it's just business or she's just great with people. But you said yes.
Yes, yes to all of those. My sport that I absolutely love is football. Basketball, I wanted to play in high school. My class was the first class that would have had the team, but I wasn't allowed to play because I play the violin, and my mother said I needed to take time to practice my violin. And so I didn't get to play, but I had a wicked three-pointer before the three-point was out, because I play the violin and my muscles in my arm are very strong, so I could shoot three-pointers and pick up games. The guys always wanted me to be on their team because even though I would miss an open layup, I could shoot the outside shot. I was pretty good. But yes, I am a people person. I taught music. I'm a retired teacher, and I'm about seeing who that child is, and then giving them the resources, the education, connecting them to be able to become all that they can be. And so with that, as CEO of the Basketball League, my perspective of these young men is not one of, oh, this is just a business, but I see them as a mom. You know, I'm seeing them from my point of view as what would I want for my sons? I want them to be seen. And from that perspective, I'm more of a visionary. So I set up opportunities for them to be seen, opportunities for them to learn, opportunities for them to be educated. And I want them to know that we see them. So I can start talking now.
This is
I
great.
get excited.
No, this is fantastic and fascinating for me. And so even when I think about this now, I got to imagine there's been a room you've walked into or a situation you walked in, and they looked at you and thought, what does she know about basketball? You know, because we're just now really getting to a place in America where people respect a woman's perspective of basketball with the same level of the thought that they can know as much, and have a background. You know, I'm thinking about Candace Parker's getting ready to do commentary for the NBA All-Star game. Like, we're just now getting to a point where, like, oh, she knows the game, she knows her stuff. So I'm sure you've had to walk into some rooms and people are like, oh, she's the CEO?
Well, that's fine. I believe that for me, my perspective is one of I see them as young men. I have great people around me that understand the game, and I stay in my lane. I have a great commissioner, Carnell Wiley, who is the commissioner of the Basketball League, and the president, of course, is my husband, and he is, I would call him the Rain Man of basketball when it comes to knowing. He's a Hoosier. He's right here from Indiana.
Former Mr. Basketball.
Former Mr. Basketball.
NBA.
A great CEO does not mean that you know everything. It's about placing great people around you, and then giving them the opportunities to use their talents and their gifts. So I stay in my lane, and my lane is the compassion, the empathy, understanding these young men, and setting them up for success. So many times, people see these young men as being robots. Like, just get in there, do your little tap dance and get off of the floor. If they twist an ankle or whatever, their career could be over. And who even cares? And I think there's a side that is being missed, and that is recognizing them for who they are. I believe one of the greatest motivation of people is positivity. And also I know that these young men, seeing them as a mother, that I know how to motivate them. Motivate them beyond the court. Motivate them to see who they are. To see that they're more than just an athlete. And that their brand is not TBL, but their brand is their life. And then be able to set up different programs, activities, educational programs. We have a financial literacy program.
I saw that.
We implement that, and we're having a national campaign where they can learn to be financially literate. They're not teaching these things in school anymore.
Right.
And so what do you do if you don't know how to govern a dollar? How can you govern 100 or 1,000 or a million? Let's face it, 75% of all Americans at some level are financially illiterate. It's a pandemic of sorts here in the United States. So that national campaign is going to involve the players. It will allow them to become more literate and feel better about themselves and pass that on for a legacy for their children.
We'll come back and talk about the league a little bit more because I want you to unpack some things there. But where did this? I mean, because you have an extreme disposition of love, compassion, empathy. Where does this come from?
My parents, how they raised me to see people for people. My parents worked at our church, St. Paul Amy Zion Church, there in Kansas City, Kansas. Shout out! They were over the youth department, and I saw them seeding into people's lives. I've seen the results of that as an adult, of people that were older than me, that my parents spent time with, and how it helped them in their lives. And I've seen that reciprocity come back to my parents when those teenagers then, now grown adults, have come back and said, you impacted my life. I've seen changed lives, and they are the ones that have impacted me. And of course, my God. I know I always say TBL is a God-given vision, and I don't apologize for it. It's something that it's bigger and it's more than just basketball.
Now, you can't hold us against me. My sign up there says, I love Jesus, and I cuss a little. The truth is, I probably should say I love Jesus, and I cuss a lot. But so take me on a quick little journey of, so you're from Kansas City, is that right?
Kansas City, Kansas.
All right. And so from Kansas City, kind of take me on some of those important, pivotal, life moments. Where you went to school, what your education looks like, and getting married, and kids. So take me on some of that journey.
Wow, you sure you're ready for all this? Because I'm pretty detailed. I'm really trying to.
Well, we got a couple minutes for this overview. So I got some really important questions I still got to ask.
Well, I grew up in the inner city in Kansas City, Kansas, in Rosedale. I graduated from J.C. Harmon High School, where they took two communities and put them together, Rosedale and Argentine, which were rivals. They put us together. I was on the committee of students to be able to bring these two almost enemies, but had to be now frenemies together. From there,
what year was that?
Oh, that was 1975.
Okay.
And yeah, the gray. But that's an important context because at that time, that integration, it wasn't like, hey, let's take Fishers and HSE High School and put them together. Like there's a lot more to that. So I wanted to set that stage. Keep going. But I saw how two communities, how we worked together. When I look back, I see how that helped me to develop, to see how two rivals that literally were at each other's throats, when you come together as one, we did a lot of great things for both communities that were brought together. So once I graduated from J.C. Harmon, I went on to the University of Kansas, Rock Chalk Jayhawk, KU.
Yeah.
And I attended school there. I have a degree in music education and a degree in music therapy. And you teach music as a skill. With music therapy, you use music to teach other skills. And through that, I worked with emotionally, physically, children that had different disabilities and helped them through music. And I also taught music as a skill. And so I'm thinking from there, then we got married. I met David in college. We got married, and then we started moving around the United States after he had a small stint with the NBA. Learned a lot about basketball on that level,
right?
Because I learned that all that glitters is not gold. So everything that he had worked for, when he got there, it was not what he thought. And we saw things, we were very naive, and we saw things that, wow, we just walked away going, is this really happening here? And so from that, you start to see people at their highest heights. We saw people that had millions of dollars that literally would call us up to say, can you just ride with me? I feel like I want to blow my head off. I have all this money, but I'm not happy. So we've seen it's got to be more than just basketball. It's got to be more than just money. There's got to be more to life. And so seeing that people from the highest heights to people that, you know, were really struggling, we started focusing our lives on more than just money and living our lives for God. And every day that I get up, that's what I want to do. I want to figure out who can I help, what's most important in life, and how does God want to use me. You know, even as I speak in this interview, I am cautiously speaking because I want to make certain that I'm making an impact, because words mean something. But from there, we started after he played in the NBA, and then he got a job working with a Fortune 500 company. I was working at home with my Fortune 500 company, and that was my family. So my days, I was the CEO of Magley Incorporated. 4 children, and I ran it like a business. So it's really interesting, you know, CEO. I'm thinking, okay, so you have to just know everything to be a CEO. I believe it's about understanding your goals, setting them, working at it daily, and following through. And I did that with my family and with my children, and which I'm blessed to have 4. And so from there, we continue on. We've got our children growing. I begin teaching music at Braden Christian School. I come in and I'm teaching in a portable, which is why I've lost some hearing in my ears. But I ended up working with the music department, and they ended up building a $3.7 million facility to house the students that were involved in fine arts and in music. So we started with 8 students. We ended up with 90% of the student body were involved in music. And they did it with a passion because they knew that it was a ministry.
Now, you also spent some time in Canada. You guys had an extent outside of the United States and in Canada, in the basketball arena and world. And so what was that like?
Canada was a eye-opening experience for me. I know that we share borders, but the culture, extremely different. When I went to Canada, we lived in Brampton, actually in Orangeville, but we were with the Brampton A's, which were a part of the NBLC. And I worked on community outreach. So I would go out and work with all the different nonprofit organizations. And I can remember walking in a room at a round table with over 50 different organizations that were nonprofits, and they were sitting there and they were sharing their resources. I mean, I was just amazed. Over here we have 3 patients that need rooms. Oh, we've got room over here. Well, we can provide the transportation to get them from your facility to over here. And so these different organizations were working together with the money that they had received, and not like, oh, I've got money, I need to have my grant or whatever, and I'm going to spend my money. But it was more, they were so giving. And so I remember sitting there and I was crying. I was like, oh my goodness, this is really what the church is about.
Ah.
No one fussing or arguing, but everyone was giving. It was profound for me. And I said, wow, and we think we're Christians in the United States. I'm not saying anything against Christianity, but I'm just saying,
hey,
just from the gut,
it's supposed to look like this,
yes,
and
that's
often it doesn't look like that.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Nothing against Christianity.
And at the end of the day,
anybody be upset.
Right? At the end of the day, it's supposed to be and look like the most giving, supporting, loving people
And
on
that's
earth.
what I saw.
And unfortunately, sometimes here it doesn't look like that.
It was very much that. It was very much that, and I took that and I said, wow. And the part that I played, I had tickets. I had tickets to games that were considered mental health, because in the wintertime it gets brutally cold in Canada. So people sometimes get inside and there's nothing to do but, watch television or something. So I had these basketball tickets that were actually given out as mental health to be able to go out, and different nonprofit groups could take the kids or the adults or whoever was there to a game and just scream their heads off and have fun. So that's the part I played.
So let's talk about this league, because I want to unpack this a little bit. So you got 49 teams all over the country. So talk a little bit about where do they play? Because it's a systematic that allows it to be really grassroots in communities all across the country. So talk a little bit about some of the dynamics that make this league special.
Well, we are, and our teams are community assets. There is a reciprocal relationship that takes place between the teams, their organization, and the community. So it is a platform that showcases not only the players, but it also showcases different people that are within the community. For example, your dancers, your security, your statisticians. We use the #1 stat program in the world, which is Genius Sports, and our statisticians are trained on that and can get certified on that so that they can now do NFL games, NCAA games, or they can we had 2 of our statisticians got to be statisticians for the SEC this year. Came from TBL, because we have one of the largest training platforms for Genius Sports for people that want to be statisticians as pros.
Wow.
We also have the dancers that want opportunities to be able to dance professionally. They have had, we've had dancers that have been recruited to even dance with the Indiana Pacers, with Oklahoma City Thunder. Our statisticians, some are also with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they also are with our team, Potawatomi Fire, as statisticians. So we're a showcase league across the United States.
I was going to ask that. You call it developmental league, but it sounds like showcase league is what you call it, right? Showcase league?
It's a showcase league that allows everyone in that community to be showcased. We're broadcast through TBL TV on over 145 countries. We also have a partnership with All Sports Television Network that has over 11 million viewers. They have a partnership with Roku and also with Amazon, and that's 50,000 and 70,000 with Amazon Fire. And our games are rebroadcast on the television station there. So what that does, it gives us lots of eyes. And what people are looking for is that data. They're looking for the ROI. How many people are looking at the league? How many people are you impacting, and what is that doing for communities? We also have our teams bring in people from other communities and bring revenue in. So we've got streams of revenue that if you have a game with Medora, and you have people that travel from Ohio into Medora, Medora's population, 500. You've got in excess of how many, maybe it could be 50 to 100 people that are now coming to that community and spending dollars that would have never come there before. So it is, in a way, stimulating revenue for communities, and it's also internationally showing that community to the world. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
You can
So let me ask you a question because, man, we're running out of time and there's so many questions I got in my head when I ask. So talk to me about, so like, what's been the greatest challenge of building this league?
Sponsorships. I believe sponsorships has been one of the harder things to sponsorship and revenue through banks. You would think as an African American woman, being the first woman
I know you're going
to
with this
have a men's professional sports league, you would think people would be clamoring in this Me Too era of time, of everything that's going on. Not so. And I wonder why. Maybe we need good media and marketing. And
Yeah, maybe we got to work on that. The brand and the message and the story.
Yes. And the story, yes.
Which does. I mean, that's obviously that's what we do. And we think about everything from the lens of story, and that's why I'm so excited to have you on because, like, this is a story that just more people need to hear and understand. I also resonate with the funding situation because as a black business owner here, I ran those same obstacles. Here we are doing this. Everybody's like, there's $1 billion out here supposedly from all these big places. And I'm like, where does it go? Because
where is it going?
Because when we ever try to find some or get a piece of that, like it seems to be missing. So I do have some ideas, and we'll talk off camera just about some marketing and things like that nature. But so we said, sponsorship and funding is one aspect. Where do you see this league going? Like, what's up? What's the horizon? What's the vision for what this thing does?
I see the league growing to making an impact. For example, our junior TBL, we just announced. We just announced our new CEO and president of junior TBL is Blake Gaboo. Is the CEO, and Grant Gaboo is the president. And what that is, it's building legacy, a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old that are learning how to handle business, learning how to meet, follow through.
Look, you just said, when you said that, if I could show the kid, you were like, handle business. It was like the face changed, that hand went in there. It was like, they got to handle this business.
They have to, because even though both of them play sports, they must understand that they are more than just an athlete. They have to survive and they have to build legacy for themselves and their families. And so we want to go beyond the court. We want to go beyond the court with young people, with the players that are in the league, and building them. We also see it going into North America. We've just had several. We've had several teams that have come in from Canada, and then a super league.
A super league.
Yes, and that would be more information will be coming out on that shortly. Okay. Yes.
A super league. All right. Got me got me thinking about this. Well, I got to put you on the hot seat for a little bit, and I got some questions here. So these are some rapid fire questions, and there's just one word or one phrase answers. Right? They're simple. Okay. Favorite place to vacation?
Where my parents are, Kansas.
Kansas. There you go. Coolest city you've ever been to?
Monaco.
Favorite homemade meal?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. My favorite homemade meal? I love food. Lasagna.
A brand that you love?
A brand that I love, TBL.
Favorite sports team?
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City Chiefs.
There you go. that makes sense. Favorite college?
University of Kansas.
Mm-hmm. Last TV show that you binge watched?
Oh my goodness. It was La Capo. My goodness, it was something on Netflix. It was a guy that was like a drug dealer, and he took over, and it was just, yeah.
There you go. A must-watch movie.
Oh my. I don't watch a lot of movies. The Prince of Egypt.
Favorite type of music?
Jazz.
So what would your hype song be?
My hype song?
Coming on stage, Michelle Obama's having you on stage, you're walking on stage with her, she's going to play what song?
This is TBL.
Hey,
That sounds a little hokey. That's our anthem.
hey, committed to the brand. Committed to the brand. I love that. A nonprofit you love to support?
I would say, the Potter Shoe Foundation.
So my last question is, at some point in time, we all are going to face this where there's a number, there's a dash, and there's a number on our tombstone, and there's a bunch of people going to stand around talking about us. What do you hope, or what do you want them to say about you?
That I changed lives for the better. That's it.
Well, I don't know you extremely well at this point in time. We're getting to know each other, but from what I do know, you are already changing lives. Thank you for coming in and stopping by and spending some time. So you get to close out our show and hit the little thing and say it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.